Hi guys, I just had an interesting question come up in church. Had a really good sister come up and ask about, what I spoke about on Thanksgiving and it going through the paradigm, going through the different circles. So that's really good news. And then it's for many of you that saw the video that I put about pure Ho'oponopono. That's a new book which is talking about advanced forgiveness. And so, if there's any spiritual gift in that direction, that's kind of what I specialize in. And so, with those two things in place, the question was relationships. And, how do you navigate? Uh, I forgive everyone for everything forever. That paradigm is what I was teaching on Thanksgiving to the people. That is a paradigm of focusing on going home. Going home is the number one focus that everyone should be placing all their attention upon. Go home. Don't just stay here on the blue marble and keep coming back over and over and over and over, and then talking about all the little things that we think we're separate and apart from, or whatever our beliefs are and other people's beliefs are not, and all those things. It's really extremely easy to focus on not going home. And so when I made that video about pure Ho'oponopono, that was a number one teaching about how to actually go home in reality, how to get back to the Father's house. And when I talked on Thanksgiving, it was just kind of the tip of the iceberg. And the foundation paradigm, the mantra that really makes the biggest difference is I forgive everyone for everything forever. And so she wanted to, how do you navigate that? How do you use the power of forgiveness or pure Ho'oponopono, advanced spirituality in relationships, And so I wanted to answer it kind of like this. When you take pure Ho'oponopono to its advanced levels of forgiveness and spirituality, then what you're doing is I forgive everyone, which is everyone around me and myself. Especially myself. That's the number one thing. Forget everybody else. If you can forgive yourself, that's the biggest thing, because automatic reflection, the mirror concept. If you forgive everyone else, the mirror must forgive yourself. But if you can forgive yourself, the mirror must forgive everyone. But that's the biggest one, because so many people practice forgiveness and then they don't forgive themselves, which is, the number one thing. You cannot forget that. I forgive everyone for everything forever. Everything. Not just everyone outside there that flips you off when they cut you off on the highway and they say bad things about you online, and they whatever, all these different things down here. Those types of things kind of happen, and it's really easy to not forgive somebody. Which, like I said before, all that does is build karma, the other kind of karma, the kind of karma that you have to come back and replay it. That's why Shakespeare keeps saying that the world is but a stage, nothing but actors thereon. Same thing. If you look from the projection of you and Jesus looking down, or you and your master, whatever your sponsor is, whoever it is that you love, or lady master that you love the most, just pretend it's you two at an opera looking down from the top of the big booth, that private booth, looking down and just watching yourself, watching this down here, make all the daily decisions like a movie, like actors on a stage. And from that perspective, you and your master or your lady master, or you and your higher self, whatever you want to call them, they don't care, looking down at yourself, just kind of smirking, kind of laughing, kind of like a comedy almost. Like, oh, that's an interesting decision that I made to myself on that day. It's kind of interesting. But from that perspective, it's just a whole lot easier to learn Ho'oponopono, pure Ho'oponopono, not just from the horizontal view, but from the vertical view. Everybody that's in metaphysics knows I am presence, your Christ presence, and your four lower bodies. Well, it's a lot easier to learn relationships from this perspective up here, looking down at the body. That's what it means when you say I am that I am, and then from upstairs looking down at the body, you say I am that I am. That's what it really means. And when you get down to pure Ho'oponopono, or at the end of the rainbow of all religious sects on the planet. SECTS. On the whole planet. That's where you land. That's where they all land. They all land at the same place. That's advanced spirituality, advanced forgiveness. So, back on topic with relationships, which is huge, monstrous. First paradigm, you can only attract what you are. So, if you still have PTSD traumas from other relationships, just throw me in that bag too, that we still have to forgive. If we do not forgive that, guess what happens? You copy and paste, and you just end up with another relationship playing out the same thing, right? And so a lot of times, whenever me and Araya have a small little tiff about something, I go and take 5-10 minutes and look at myself and say, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel like I wasn't heard, or I wasn't speaking clearly, or da 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 da, whatever? And then looking back at a past relationships that I've had and saying, that's the same interesting seeming appearance of separation between me and God behavior that I did in that relationship and the relationship before that, and I'm still replaying the same pattern. Now, it takes consciousness on the male and female, which there is no gender in energy, but to become self-aware, aware of yourself, capital S, self awareness, not lowercase s. About that with relationships is that you can only attract, you can magnetically attract that which you are, not what you think you are. So Ho'oponopono and forgiveness is all about forgiving everything. I forgive everyone, myself, for everything, forever, everything, which means, do I think that I'm a 6'2" Polynesian man of light named Alpha? No. You have to forgive that, because that's not the truth. This is just made out of dust, and it's going to go back to dust. It's nothing eternal about this at all. It's just an awesome projection. It's an awesome vehicle. It's an awesome vessel, but it's not who I am. This is just a car. It's not the driver. So then this is the driver. Your mighty I am presence is the driver. Your holy Christ self is the driver. Your higher self is a driver. Whatever all these words are that you like the most, put that in there. Which means I am that I am. This great I am, right? This is the driver. This is just a vehicle. So when you say I forgive everyone for everything, it means all the identities that you think you are with this body. Do you think you're vegan? Do you think you're male, female? Do you think you're political, left side, right side? Do you think you're religious faith that you are today? Do you think you're American or Hawaiian or Chinese? If you swab your mouth and you come up with 37 different cultures on the planet, is that who you are? Nope, that's not who you are either. That's what I mean. When you say, I forgive everyone, which is me, for everything, that means onion layer by onion layer, you're going deeper and deeper into advanced spirituality and advanced pure Ho'oponopono. When you finally forgive enough, all the way down to here, which takes a tiny little while, or it could be like that in a quantum second. When you get to here, what ends up happening is that you know yourself confidently with absolute certainty, explanation part, marks, that you are not your body or culture or religious or political or anything else that you learned along the way, and you took that hat and you put it on. All Ho'oponopono is you're just taking all these hats off. And once you take off enough hats of identities that you know yourself not to be, because they're not eternal principles, then what's left over? Once you get here, this is the only thing eternal. You and whatever identities you think you are, those are all temporary. Just ask yourself, any belief system that you have, when you die at about 80 or 100 or 120, is that belief system going to last? Is it going to be eternal? Or is it just only for this blue marble? Well, that's how you know it's an illusion. That's how you know that belief system has to be forgiven. Because it's not real. It's not truth. This is the only truth. Everything else must fall away. And so you melt it away with God's love and you forgive it and you let it go. Once you forgive all these things, guess what happens to your relationships? You cannot attract that which you are not. You can only attract what you are. You can only magnetically attract that of which you are. So if you have not yet forgiven yourself about a bunch of things, guess what kind of guy you're going to attract? A guy that reflects exactly the same belief systems, up or down a couple belief systems. You're all in the same range. That's the kind of guy that you attract. And gal, if you're a dude like me and you don't do a lot of forgiveness work, funny how all these women come inside of your space and you keep saying that the women are toxic. That's not awareness. That's not self-discipline. That's not accountability, responsibility at all, which is the basic fundamental brick stones of Ho'oponopono, taking full responsibility of everything around you. Same thing with our female friends down here that want a divine masculine. Well, only a divine feminine can attract a divine masculine. So how do you become that? I just kept telling her, you forgive it one onion layer at a time. You are not a woman. You're just a daughter of God in this one of many embodiments. And you used to be a divine son too. So get over that gender thing that you think you are, because you're not. You're not political, left or right. You're not religious, left or right. You're not cultural, left or right. You're not brown skin, skin tone, left or right. You're not education, left or right. You're not vegan or carnivore, left or right. These are every last one of those topics in about less than 100 years, they all disappear like dust because they're strictly for Earth class, strictly a Earth paradigm. It is not an eternal paradigm. That's why it's only going to disappear like dust. And so just imagine, this is what I told her. I said, if you forgave this, and I forgive everyone, including myself, for everything, all those little layers that we just said, forever. Okay? If that's where you finally get down to here, now guess what kind of relationship you must attract by law? You must magnetically attract. Guess what? You're going to attract a masculine man that has done all of those false identity forgiveness cycles, onion layer by onion layer. And finally, he has gotten to here where he knows himself as not Alpha, not whatever his name is. He knows himself as a son of God. I am a prodigal son. I am one of the begotten sons of God. Yeah, that's real identity. That's hardcore truth. That's who I am. Period. I'm not Alpha. Alpha's just an awesome vehicle. It's like saying I'm a Tesla. It's just a truck, dude. It's not who you are. The driver. That's who I am. Once you as a man get to this point, guess what happens to all the women that come inside of your space? Funny how you magnetically attract very self-sustained, self-generating, independently powerful women into your space. Funny how that works. You don't have that crazy toxic stuff that keeps happening to you, dudes, because you take full accountability of yourself. You forgive it all the way down to here. Vice versa with all the ladies. There is a lot. I think more than... Anyway, when you women start to get down to here, which is all a process for all of us, including me, including Araya, we have our little tiffs every now and then too. But we forgive quickly. I will say that. We are pretty good at forgiving quick, fast, and getting back down to core. But what if you women forgave all those little identities that you thought you were and finally got back to here? The truth is, I am a beloved and cherished daughter of God, a princess into a queen. And this is all that I know myself to be. I don't know myself as this earthly female that only lives for so long, that only can travel with so much space, that cannot move time and space with consciousness, that limited identities. You just kept forgiving all of that. Finally, you got to the point where you know yourself as this, period. The end. And only from this stance. Now, guess what kind of guy you are going to attract into your space? Toxic? Low accountability, low responsibility, or a king? And so that's what I'm trying to say here, is that you cannot magnetically attract something that you are not. You can only magnetically attract something that you are. If you're looking for that perfect relationship, it's not external and outside of you. The number one relationship is between you and the God self within you. First and foremost, marry that guy. Marry this guy. You know, it's one of the greatest thoughts ever is that if I left and went back to Venus, you know, Araya would be absolutely self-sustained, self-generating, love, so divine source. Her whole status between her and the God self within herself is self-sustaining. She doesn't need to look for love external outside of herself. Vice versa. If she went up to V-Town and I was here, my love is with the God self within me, period, without question, the end. Self-generating and self-sourced, the end, forever. And then I share that love with Araya. But she's not my priority, but the God within me is. She's my secondary priority, and vice versa. For her, the God self within her is her top priority, and then I am her second priority. That's the way it's meant to be. See, a long time ago, we used to have the male aspect of divinity and the female aspect of divinity and God at the top. And instead of what's happening today, the male looks at the female a lot and doesn't look at God enough. There's plenty of men like that. And there's plenty of females that look at the men a lot and they don't look at God enough. Okay? So wherever attention goes, energy flows. So the attention between the two earthly horizontal relationship equals, you guys are getting closer. But between you and God, that's not getting closer. How long do you think that thing's going to last? Why do you think divorce rates are either increasing or decreasing depending on which country you're in right now, 2026? Because you're looking at earthly stuff that's going to fade away in 100 years or less. Everything that you're falling in love with horizontal is like the shifting sand dunes of a desert. Here today, gone tomorrow. But divine relationships is the one that the male looks at God the most. The most. And by divine law, you must be magnetically attracted to it, right? Because you're staring at it, you're focused on it so much. So God comes a little bit closer to the man, and the man goes a little bit closer to God. Vice versa. The feminine on this side looks at God the most. Not the dude. God the most. And God comes down into her all the time, and she goes up to God all the time. Okay? Now, just check out the distance between the feminine and the masculine down here in this triangle. Wherever your attention goes, energy flows. Eventually, the male rises in frequency closer to God. Eventually, the female rises in frequency closer to God because your attention is upon that as your first love, your only source, your only real relationship, eternal relationship. And then what happens to this big triangle when the both of you look at God first? The triangle eventually shrinks smaller and smaller and smaller because the male is moving up to the God and the female is moving up to the God, and the distance between the male and female at the bottom is a lot closer when they get closer and closer to the top. Eventually you have a nice triangle. You smooth out the edges and that's what you got, a perfect whole circle. And so that's my little relationship advice for all of you. Look to the God inside of you, work on that, and then the masculine men that's balanced will come to you magnetically. Vice versa with all you accountable men out there looking for that divine relationship. Do you first, and then attract. You don't need to go look for it. They will come to you. And then you will magnetically have a divine relationship, a power couple. Some call it twin flames sometimes. The correct word is twin rays, R-A-Y-S, twin rays. That's the correct form. So use that. Love and light. Hope that helped. Aloha.